So we've got the triggers, and there's a lot of triggers in here, guys, right? And then based on the triggers that you choose, the conditions that are here will be different. So since we have a phone call as a trigger, you can kind of see that we have these status, like the phone call status and the duration and the first time caller stuff. That's because this is the trigger, right? But if I go over here and I change this, let me get rid of these. And I change this to like a form submission, and this can be really useful for you guys. So form submission is something that we're all probably going to deal with, right? So when a form submission comes in, when I add a filter now, look at all these different options, because now it's pulling all the fields. Some of these fields are the ones that we saw earlier, the ones that come with the system, but you have the ability to create your own. And then any of those can be used as a part of the trigger, which makes this really flexible, right? So one of the ones that may be useful for you guys, let's say zip code. So let's say I have two clients. One client is serving like the north part of town and another client serving the south part of town. And I want like, hey, when they fill out a form and it's from one of these zip codes, I want it to go to this person. And when it's from these other zip codes, I want it to go to this other person. So you can easily do that here. I could say when it's from this zip code, and then I could change this to contains. And notice this line right here that says separate by commas, right? So if I said like 8910 or 89140, 90210, and I put all these ones in here, then I could go down here and this email could be sent out to the client that's associated with these like northern zip codes, right? So this is the next step. So we've talked about the triggers. We've got all sorts of different triggers up here. We've got filters that are dependent on the trigger. And then you've got actions, right? So you have these different actions. We've looked at email and SMS a little bit. You can wait. So the time that maybe that's useful is, let's say you want to have like an automated follow-up. We'll stick with the form submission. Let's get rid of this. And let's say that this company is equal to this bear removal company, right? So when this comes in, I want to send a text message to the person that sent this. So I could say, hey, I'm going to wait until some time passes. I'll wait until like maybe 3 minutes pass. And then I'm going to send a text message. So I'll come here and I'll select SMS. Now I'm going to send a text message and I'm going to send it to the contact. So the contact is the person that fills out the form. Sometimes we call this person the lead, right? So this is the person that fills out the form. So I want to send them a text message. The reason I'm waiting 3 minutes is I want it to look organic. I don't want like form submission comes in and then instantly they get a text message and they're like, wow, like this was obviously a robot that sent this and it's not like real. But we can make it look real. So we've got the contact's phone number. So it's automatically going to pull the contact's phone number from the form submission. If they don't put it there, they leave it blank, or you don't have that as a field, this isn't going to work. It's going to fail. Okay. So this first tab here represents the contact and all their information. So some of this stuff may not be on your form, so you can't use this, right? If you don't have city on their form and you try to like use it, then it's going to be blank. Okay. So you could say something like this. Hi, this is, and this tab here is the company and the client information. Okay. So I could, if I've set up my company and I've set up and associated the client with that company, and I come in here and I drag this client name, it's going to substitute that little short code is a variable for the client. So it's going to substitute their name in real time, right? This is client name with, and then I could pull in the company name, right? So if this is Bob's Bear Removal, this is going to say, hi, this is Bob with Bob's Bear Removal. I saw that you filled out a form on my website. What can I do to help you? So it's going to open up that conversation, right, with this client, with the person that filled out the form. So it's something to pay attention to. This is going to happen 3 minutes afterwards. This box down here is going to prevent, like, so let's say this guy fills something out at 2 in the morning. You probably don't want to send him a text message at 2:03 with this. So you might want to use this and say, okay, this will allow me to choose when this message would go out. So if this happened at 2 in the morning, then it's going to be sent out at 8 in the morning. And the time zone that this is using is the time zone that you chose for your company, right? So if this is Bob's Bear Removal, if I don't have this here, it will work for all the companies. So like If I don't have the filter there, it's just going to work for everyone that comes through, right? So that would be like every one of these, right? But I've got it limited to Bob's Bear Removal. So it's going to be the time zone for Bob's Bear Removal. But if the next one came through was from Edward's Cake Shop, then that one would be Edward's Cake Shop, right? And it would pull the client and the company for that one, right? So that's how it's working. So that is a way to kind of like automatic, that would be when you would use this like wait time. And that's a way that you could put them into kind of like a follow-up sequence automatically. All right, so let's get that out of here. What about delivering it to our clients? We're not going to want to wait to deliver it to our client, right? So this time, I'm going to delete this. And if I look at this recipient option, I could choose the associated client for the company. So now it's going to say like, okay, who's the client that's associated with? If you have multiple clients, it's going to send it to multiple people, right? You could also choose like some random number to send it to. And I could add more right here, right? Or I could send it to the client's phone number. So this is going to allow me to select from my existing clients. I don't know why that's not showing up right now. But it would give me my list of clients. It might be loading it. So that's kind of how that works. And these variables are always here. We've got a new column with a bunch of call information. Also, like let's go back here and I'll do the associated client for the company. And let's say I want to deliver the lead that came through from Bob's Bear Removal. So I could say, if I want this to work for all my companies, I could just say, hi, client name. Maybe I just, because this time is a little bit more casual, since it's just a communication between me and my client. Hi, so maybe Bob, a new lead just came in from your site. Here is their information. All right, so this time I'm going to pull over. So this is all the contact information. So I'm going to pay attention to what's on my form. So I'll probably have the full name on there, and I'm going to have their phone number. I'm going to have their email. So I can just drag these over here. Wherever my cursor is, that's where it's going to go. And so this is a form submission right now, right? So I would say maybe a new form. And you can do the same thing for phone calls, right? Like notice there's a call recording link here. If this were a call, I could put that in there, and that would be sending them a copy of that recording right there, where they can click on that link and then they can play that, right? So we can keep hammering them with evidence of what we're sending to them, right? Through this, like every time a call comes in, I could wait a few minutes if I want. Maybe I want to wait like 2 minutes and be like, hey, that last phone call that came in, that was from us. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Here's the information if you need to recall it later, right? So you've got that record there. And again, if you're sending, you want to make sure if it's a text message, you probably want to pay attention to this like window here. This button right here has some other like kind of hidden goodies. So if you click on this link options, I click this include link. If your client has access to the system, then I can give them a link right to the lead detail page. So this page right here, that's the lead detail page, right? So, oops. So this link would take them for the associated lead. It would take them right to that page. So if they have a login, they can click on that. They can open it up. Maybe you're working with your client and they're taking notes and giving you feedback on how the leads are doing, right? So there's an action here for email, right? So email is very similar. You have a few extra options in here for like the subject, the sender name. It's important to know that like by default, and we may be phasing this out in the near future, the email that comes will come from like a LeadSnap email address, but you have the option to add in your own, right? So you go over here to settings and then email. You can add in your own email address. You can see I've added in these two, support at LeadSnap and LeadSnap123@gmail. If I click on this, then I can choose my provider and I can go through. And that's what I would highly recommend. So that way, when those emails get sent out, they're not coming from LeadSnap. They're coming from like your client's email address, or they're coming from like, if you go maybe from your agency to your client, right? So once I've added them, you can kind of see that they can show up down here in this like support at leadsnap.com area. So that means that that email would be sent out, and this would be the sending address rather than LeadSnap because I've got it selected here, right? So there's some other automation, other actions in here. You can update field statuses. You can send questionnaires. A lot of this stuff is kind of working with other parts of the CRM. So if you guys haven't seen our pipeline system yet, you can see that there's like this pipeline that will allow you to move people through different stages. And you could, like, maybe I move them to close. And then I could have over here inside my, I have too many tabs open. I could have a trigger for the pipeline, for a pipeline stage, deal move to pipeline stage, right? So when it moves there, maybe I want to automatically send a questionnaire, the onboarding questionnaire, right? Or maybe when I move them into this like call completed stage, automatically 2 days from now, I want to send an email saying like, hey, it was really nice to chat with you on this call. I would love to like talk about how we can move forward together, something like that. So you have this thing where it's helping you convert more of your sales, right? By putting them into these different processes and things like this. And you could set up as many of these pipelines as you want. You can have your clients using these pipelines too, and have those be triggering things. Like maybe they have a pipeline stage that's like bid sent. And then like if it stays in that stage for 5 days, then maybe you throw them a $50 coupon if they, I don't know, whatever. You guys use your imagination, or your clients, maybe they've got some ideas on how they can maximize their conversion rates.